Breaking right now. He left no suicide note, no note claiming responsibility. So what was the reason 27-year-old co-pilot Andreas Lubitz plunged that Germanwings flight into the Alps? German officials revealing today they are still not sure, as Lubitz had no physical illness known, but did have suicidal thoughts in the past. Hello everyone, I'm Dan Kleffler in New York. Within the hour, Christoph Kumka, the prosecutor in Düsseldorf, Germany, addressed the media about these new details. Here's what he had to say.
Okay, so this is press release number 3 of the Public Prosecutor's Office to the actual facts of our investigations. The Public Prosecutor's Office in Düsseldorf is right now searching the evidence and finding the evidence that has been secured right now under the leadership of an experienced homicide public prosecutor who specialized in homicide, who is supported by several colleagues, female and male. There are some witnesses from the personal surrounding, including the professional surrounding, who were investigated and asked, so we have written documents of what they said. I have to ask you to accept that the Public Prosecutor's Office is not able to and isn't allowed to speculate on the motives of the co-pilot who died. The Public Prosecutor's Office has to find the facts and is only able to communicate facts. We have documents and data files that enable us to say this at this time. We have what we have told you in the past about what we have found out in our investigation stands as it is right now. There still is no evidence that the co-pilot told before that he'll do what we have to assume was done, and we haven't found a letter or anything like that that contains a confession of that. Added to this, we have not found anything in the surrounding, be it personal or his family or his professional surrounding, that is giving us any hints that enable us to say anything about his motivation. We have found medical documentation that showed no organic medical illness. The co-pilot has been, before he got his pilot's license, been in psychotherapeutic Behandlung, has been at a psychotherapeutic in contact with a doctor about that. He had at that time been in treatment of a psychotherapist because of what is documented as being suicidal at that time. In the following time, up to now, right until he took the plane, there have been several visits at medical doctors, and we have found, as we have already communicated, evidence that his doctors documented him to be unable to work and to fly. But these documents don't show any hint of being suicidal or being aggressive against other people. That's what we have and can say right now.
Following the story now from our bureau in London is ABC's Rena Ninan with more on this. And Rena, what are we learning then about Andreas Lubitz following this new announcement from that prosecutor?
Just a short time ago, the prosecutor coming out and saying, Dan, that really giving us a window into his mental state, the fact that he did and was treated for suicidal tendencies, even receiving psychotherapy at one point. But they went on to note that this all took place well before he received his pilot's license. He did, in fact, have vision problems. They believe, though, that it didn't result in any sort of major issues at the time. They also found doctor's visits, sick notes, excusing him because of his medical conditions. But they're also saying that the suicidal tendencies wasn't necessarily linked to aggressive behavior towards anyone else. The big baffling thing that came out of this is that prosecutors and investigators still aren't any closer to determining what caused him to take the lives of 149 other people, including himself, smashing that Airbus plane directly into the French Alps, Dan.
Do we know, are we giving any kind of update as far as the frequency of these psychotherapy treatments, just the extent of what he was treated for, any of the recent doctor visits that he may have undergone?
They were incredibly cagey and cautious about releasing too much information or even going as far as to speculate further than that. They wouldn't even tell us whether or not the co-pilot was on any medication or currently being treated for depression. They only released the history, as I mentioned, of what took place with the suicidal tendencies. That tended to be the big focus, but we still don't really know exactly what caused him to bring that plane down.
And you had mentioned the vision problems, and obviously that would raise any kind of concern or question out there. But that at this point doesn't seem to be the focus of much investigation or much attention?
It seems right now the big focus is really on his mental state. Prosecutors and investigators trying to determine what else might have pieced together the clues that forced him to bring down that plane. But as you mentioned on the vision part, they didn't seem too concerned that that might have been an issue. It more seems to be the focus now of the motive leading towards his mental state as to what may have caused him to bring down that plane.
All right, ABC's Rena Ninan for us from our bureau in London. Rena, thank you. We certainly appreciate that. You can keep up with the story in real time, downloading the ABC News app and starring the story for updates on the go. For now, I'm Dan Kleffler in New York.